There we go.
Nice. My Newcastle scarf in the back. Yay.
Beautiful. Shall we pick it right up?
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records here. You're listening to Dat Fury Radio, Part 2, with Ebony Simon, a.k.a. Left E. Grove, a.k.a. producer Giniss. We are power ranking the discography of Deftones. Not the Deftones, if you don't know. It's just Deftones. Be cool about it, everybody. But here's where we stand. Hot take. We have the self-titled record from 2003 at the top of our power ranking, followed very closely by White Pony, of course. 3 spot, 95's Adrenaline, the debut. Then Around the Fur, Diamond Eyes, Saturday Night Wrist, B-Sides and Rarities, and the live EP. I feel like, Ebony, imagine a Deftones fan who is not us. I feel like this is a pretty agreeable list, maybe except for the top. I know people would have White Pony at number 1, some are Around the Fur at number 1. Some people have Diamond Eyes, I think, at number 1. But overall, I feel like this is a pretty agreeable list. What do you think?
I agree. You say the people that have Diamond Eyes as number 1. I tend to think that may be like the younger crowd that's just getting into Deftones.
I do think that skews younger. Yep.
It's a great entry point to Deftones. I will tell you that much. Like if I had never heard of Deftones and then got into them at Diamond Eyes, I would definitely go back and listen. So I do appreciate that about Diamond Eyes. That's why I rate it so high.
Absolutely. And there's to reiterate, like, we both adore this group. They've never put out a bad record in my estimation. So this is just to like have an interesting conversation and tell some stories and kind of generate some friction out of trying to power rank these, because just talking about how much we love Deftones for 2 hours might be a little much.
Yeah.
So let's pick it up. 2012's Koi no Yokan. What do you think? I think we both like this one.
So I have this one as my number 3 rated Deftones album. Of the new wave of Deftones post Chi, this is, for me, hands down the best album. It's not to say that anything else is a bad album, like we've already talked about. They're all good albums. Even the ones I don't really care for are good albums. This one just seems to be like, okay, now we have the time to create a record with our new bass player. Let's go make a record. And again, it's another one of those albums like the first 2, it just doesn't let up from the beginning. The only time I feel like there's any sort of a letdown is by the time you get to What Happened to You, which is crazy because that song, first off, thank you, Abe, because the drumming on that, oh my God, that dude, like if he's not one of your favorite drummers, if not top 10, definitely top 11, and it's probably 11, but I don't care where you rate him. That dude is an amazing drummer. And the last, 8 bars of that song, even the last 4 when it's just him, the work he does with the drums and the kick, amazing. Like that dude really holds this whole band together no matter what they do with the guitars and bass.
Yeah, let's do a little Abe appreciation. And before we do Abe appreciation, I'm always down for Frank appreciation. Like Frank, and I know like Deftones fans know how amazing Frank is, but because he's so often kind of buried in the mix, you don't always, he just blends in, which I know is the whole point and is like what's so perfect about what he does, but Frank is amazing. I'm always down for some Frank appreciation, but this is Abe appreciation.
Yeah.
Abe rarely gets to go off. He makes his contribution through groove mostly and little fills and finding like little weird colors to add that advance the song and play a role in the totality of the song. He barely gets to do anything flashy, and so he can fly under the radar, I think, like you're saying. But this band is so diminished without him. He contributes so much and has been in the studio just an absolute rock from Around the Fur on. Like, there's not a bad Abe record. And I'm not slugging Adrenaline either. I mean, like you said, they were kids. Yeah, Abe's amazing.
Yeah, there were moments on Adrenaline, but like by the time you got to Around the Fur, Abe was Abe. But on this album, I think he kind of drove this album a lot more from like a songwriting perspective.
Everything is clicking. This is no skips. I basically have a top 3 S tier, and it's the same as yours. Self-titled, White Pony, Koi no Yokan. I think this record is incredible. I've played it a billion times. It always sounds fresh, and it's amazing. So now it's 14 years old. It still feels like a new one in my brain a little bit, but this is an absolute top tier Deftones record for me as well.
Yeah, it is.
Next up, 2016's Gore, aka the one with prayers triangles on it, and the guy from Alice in Chains.
Yeah. You are going to really appreciate this, which is kind of an inside joke with me and Howie, but that's why we're both laughing. I am not a fan of this album whatsoever. I've come to a revelation, though.
Okay.
Surprisingly good for what the effort that was put into it from some members were. I heard, pray tell, rumors of Steph not wanting anything to do with this album and just kind of come in and half-ass it at the end. I've heard that he wanted to quit the band. I've heard that they didn't want to do the album whatsoever. So it has more of a Chino solo album feel to me, which there are 3 to 5 other projects he could have done something like this album and still had it under the umbrella of, yes, this is from the guy in Deftones. Mm-hmm. After a couple of listens, though, I've come around on this album. It's not at the bottom of my list at all. Not my personal list or this list.
Yeah. It's a lower tier Deftones record for sure. I do like Xenon a lot. Yeah. Something happened with this album came out the first year I lived in Lawrence, but I was commuting to Kansas City for work. So I did listen to it a lot in the car, and like there is a corner 2 blocks from my house that is like the Prayers Triangles corner to me. Like just going around that corner puts Prayers Triangles in my head. The Jerry Cantrell solo is actually a pretty cool little curveball in a way. Like it kind of works. It's kind of a different color, or at least an interesting color. I didn't mean to knock it earlier, but yeah, overall doesn't quite gel. Not a lot of song highlights. I mean, mostly just Xenon for me, and the rest is okay. So
it's kind of a rudderless ship.
That's a great metaphor. Let's see. With what we've covered so far, I've got this below B-sides and rarities, but still above the live 1998 EP. How about you?
We do agree on that. Because I'd put it above B-sides and rarities, but I'd put it directly above if I was going to do anything different. But that's pretty much the best spot for it right now.
I mean, if you want, do you have the jump ball? You could put it above B-sides and rarities, or do you want to save it for something bigger?
I want to save it for something bigger.
Okay.
Because I have thoughts on these last couple. Gotcha.
Jump ball, clearly to Ebony at this stage. Hey, if you're listening on the audio podcast, we do have a YouTube channel. I'm happy for you to listen wherever you happen to be, but once in a while, there is something on the YouTube besides our heads, and in this case, I do have a visual for the whole power ranking here, so I'll run it down. We are at number 1, self-titled, 2, White Pony, 3, Koi No You Can, Adrenaline, Around the Fur, Diamond Eyes at 6, Saturday Night Wrist, B-Sides and Rarities, Gore, and the live EP closing the pack. That's a mixed metaphor. So what do you want to talk about next, Ebony? I actually have... So there's 2 projects in 2020. There's the Black Stallion remixes that went with the White Pony reissue, and there's Ohms.
So there's a lot of beauty in the Black Stallion remixes. I thoroughly enjoy getting to hear DJ Shadow do things. He's got a good remix. It kind of goes, for me, outside of like the really, really, B-sides and rarities and Gore. This is probably the one I've listened to the least, to be honest. It's not bad. It's just kind of like, for me, it was like when they did the remixes to Silent Alarm from Block Party.
Yeah.
Like there were some things that were really good about it, and I thoroughly enjoyed the songs, but I prefer the originals, so I don't really listen to that one very much.
Agreed. I am pretty meh on Black Stallion. I have it very near the bottom, definitely below Gore, still above the live EP. Man, I am just hating on the live EP. It's not that bad.
No, it's not bad at all. It's
nothing special either.
Yeah.
So power ranking wise, where are you thinking?
It's pretty low. I have it as my second lowest.
So below Gore?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what about Ohms, the other project from 2020, Studio LP?
So, Ohms has quite possibly the greatest opening Deftones line in an album ever. I reject both sides of what I've been told. I get that, and I understood that from a personal level. I love this album. Like, I really do. For lack of a better way to put it, it is an album that lets you know that they are moving forward. Excuse me. They're moving forward as a group, but it also shows you that they basically influenced every band that came after them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all kind of encompassed in that album because there's so many different ways to go in that album. And it's got a straightforward direction on it. It's heavy, it's hard, it's soft, it's melodic. It's kind of everything that you want in a Deftones album in one. From the new wave of Deftones albums post-Chi, it's my second favorite album. So I definitely enjoy it.
I enjoy it as well. Hold your thought on the actual ranking, because I think this one might be tough to fit in. This is the one, doing our listening project to prepare for this, this is the one about which my opinion changed the most. I hadn't listened to it a ton for whatever reason. Like, I just didn't play it as often as even Gore or something. Maybe 2020 was weird. I don't know. But
Something happened.
Listening to it, and I probably listened to this to Ohms 4 or 5 times for this podcast project. Most of the records I only listened to once because I know them so well. It was sometimes I had thought for a while about kind of where to put them in my personal ranking, but here's what I realized about Ohms. And it may spark an illegal musical project that you'll only be able to hear like in real life or in analog, because I would never be able to put it anywhere digitally. I love the verses. The choruses aren't hitting for me. And that's pretty consistent across the record. I almost wonder if I could recut verses and do a remix project, not to change the whole sonic everything, but like to keep the verses and skip the choruses, because the verses are some of the best stuff they've ever done.
Yeah.
And this record, I also want to say this to like point out the greatness of this band. This record that overall I consider maybe a C tier Deftones project was rated the best metal record of the year by tons of magazines. So this was a critically very successful record. And I'm definitely not saying it's bad, but compared to their like incredible heights, it's below the halfway mark, I think. And but yeah, that verse chorus thing is what came out to me, and I don't feel that way about any other Deftones record.
It's I think that's kind of why I like it so much, is because that album should not work in the precise reason that you mentioned. That album should not work, but the musicianship and the way the production is and the way the overall layers of the sound are and the mixing and the fact that it's a Deftones album, like it kind of outweighs the fact that the choruses don't work. And it completely outweighs them, because you can't not listen to it. But that being said, it is my second favorite album that they've put out since Chi's accident and subsequent passing. It's also the one that I go to the least amount outside of Gore.
Out of the whole discography.
Yeah. I think the best song on this album is Pompeii, but that's a really dark album, and it's the one song that kind of has a chorus. It's the one song that kind of has a chorus, but it ends up being 2 choruses because for some reason they just don't want to stop these songs. Like, these songs could have all been 2.5 minutes and still been solid.
They do kind of linger. So how are we gonna fit this in? I've got it below Gore, above Black Stallion. I'm flexible on that. Where do you have it?
So this is the definite, like, complete, this is the canyon, the rift right here.
Good, we found one. That's exciting.
I have this album in my personal ratings. This album is between Around the Fur and Adrenaline for me.
Okay, so you would have it, that would be 5th.
Yeah, I have it top 5 at number 5 for me personally.
Okay. And I was, let's see, below Gore, so more like 10.
Yeah.
Woo! So we don't have to do this, but I'm just like mathematically splitting the difference. How many is, you said above Around the Fur or below Around the Fur? Below.
I have it below Around the Fur, but above Adrenaline. And I think we have it the exact. So that would put it at like number 7 if we just average it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see, just for argument's sake. So between us, yeah, so there's 4 projects right now between where we would individually put it. The average would have it below Saturday Night Wrist, above B-Sides and Rarities.
I think it's a better album than Saturday Night Wrist, but I also think that in terms of cohesion, it would be in right about where you said, in between B-sides and Saturday Night.
I would go for that if you're amenable to that.
I'm amenable to that. We're having fun with this.
We're
So
having fun with this. And there it is, right? Yeah, below Saturday Night Wrist, above B-sides and rarities. Yep.
Yep.
Interesting. So we yeah, that was when we kind of the first one we pretty strongly diverged on. There might not be another one. I like it. I like a little heat. I know we both like the next and last to date LP, last year's Private Music. I know we both like this a lot.
yeah.
I think to me this is like the good kind of like the wow, I don't want to damn it with faint praise. It's kind of like the good gore. It's elements from across the career coming together, but this time it gels, and there's experiments that work. There's just straight down the middle, just heavy stuff that works. The ending threw me at first, but I've come to really like it. I played this just yesterday, just for fun. I didn't need to review it for the pod. I was just like, I feel like listening to Private Music.
Yeah, it's a new bass player, by the way. Sergio had left the group by this time, so they got a new bass player on this one.
Right. Who had been touring for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, I think he was their touring bass player, and then I want to say Sergio left the group when Quicksand regrouped, because he went on tour with Quicksand.
Quicksand's been back. I don't know if this is true, but it kind of made sense to me. I had read somewhere that so they'd always treated Sergio as like a paid employee, kind of. And that he had asked to become a full band member, and which is reasonable after all the time he spent with them. And they didn't accept and just offered to continue the kind of employee arrangement. And he decided not to go with that. So again, I don't know that for fact, but I have read that in places. And it does kind of make sense. But yeah, new bassist, Private Music. You haven't had a chance to talk about the record itself. How do you feel about Private Music?
I enjoy this album. It's always nice when it comes up in my shuffle. However, it does go in the bin of like very rare revisits. And it may be because when it first came out, I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was out. I knew there was a single out. But when I found that the album was out, I probably listened to it twice a day the first week it was out. So I got kind of burnt out on it, but it seems like a band that knows themselves, that found someone who understands who they are, and they're having fun.
Yes.
Like this album sounds like a lot more fun than the previous albums. And it had been a while since they'd had a fun album.
Yeah.
So it had the same, it kind of had the same resolution as the self-titled album in a different way, though. Like, oh, these guys are back to just being a band.
I think there's links to that. There's definitely a link to that with just, man, it's such a fine line with this band too, but like self-titled, Private Music just has this aliveness that's coming through the microphone somehow that isn't necessarily on something like Gore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is I agree this is a big success and bodes well that if they can stay in this mode, I think they can keep creating at this level. So let's try to fit it in. I've got it in definitely that B tier around Saturday Night Wrist and Adrenaline and Around the Fur for me.
Yeah, I have it between Diamond Eyes and Saturday Night Wrist.
in your personal ranking or where we're at together?
In my personal ranking, I have it between those two.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think it's a better album than the 5 above Diamond Eyes that we have ranked together.
No, I don't think so either. I'm good with between. Okay, let me make sure I got this on the screen for you. Do you feel good about this? What I've got up,
Yes.
and then I'll run it down from the top. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's where we are. Is we've just got some fun kind of extras to get in here. But we have completed the studio LPs, and we've got from the top, self-titled, White Pony, Koinonia Can, Adrenaline, and Around the Fur. That's the top 5. Number 6, Diamond Eyes, Private Music, Saturday Night Wrist, Ohms, 10, B-Sides and Rarities. And then 11, Gore, Black Stallion, and the live EP. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
The biggest issue rank-wise for me personally was everything after my top 3. Because our top 3 are both the same, but everything after that, honestly, I would not be mad if something was higher than another on your list as it was mine.
Yeah, that middle 5 from Adrenaline to Saturday Night Wrist, I could almost put in any order. I'd have Diamond Eyes toward the bottom of that tier, but I mean, it's a great record. So
yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
I did do some listenings to the stuff that was kind of leaked from Eros.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Eros. Or should we save Eros to the end?
I think we should save it. Let's save it
for the end.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. So I found this fan compilation on the internet. You can probably still find it. B-Sides and Rarities Volume 2. Same concepts, but just fans compiling stuff from soundtracks and live recordings. And so it's got stuff on it like Can't Even Breathe from the Escape from LA soundtrack, Teething from the Crow City of Angels soundtrack. Covers include To Have and to Hold by Depeche Mode, Nightboat, another Duran Duran cover, the hidden track Damone from Around the Fur that's like, after 30 minutes of silence or whatever. Some B-sides, cool cover of Drive by the Cars.
That is a good cover.
Version of Cherry Waves. So I actually prefer this to the official B-sides by a fair margin.
That's understandable. I mean, it's what the fans have universally liked more, so it stands that it would be more popular.
I would have it kind of right at the bottom of that second tier. So based on what we have, I would put it below Saturday Night Wrist. I'd probably put it above Ohms. I'm guessing you might not, based on how much you like Ohms.
No, I'd probably put it, for me, it'd be between Ohms and the official B-sides and Rarities.
I'm cool with that. I think the important thing to me is that I do like this more than the official one. But you take the jump ball on Ohms versus B-sides and Rarities too. I really might get into Ohms with the editing and just chop it up and see what I can do.
Unofficial release.
Unofficial, yeah. Did you listen to the Bob Ezrin demos? These were some demos done prior to Saturday Night Wrist, some writing sessions, and it does have things like an early version of Hole in the Earth, but then they went with a different producer. Maybe they went back to Terry Date. I can't remember.
No, I did not listen to those.
It's an interesting listen once, maybe, and it's got some instrumental jams that you've never heard before, but it doesn't add up to much. So I'm going to put it right at the bottom, except still above the live EP because it does have some unique material. And that brings us to Eros. Now, Eros is legendary in Deftones fandom. It's the working title of the project the band was working on when Chi's accident happened. And, you know, from one point of view, it could be considered one of the great, like, lost records of history. From another point of view, they weren't, you know, Deftones records tend to take a long time, and they weren't that far into it. So it's not like it's sitting on a shelf and they could release it someday. It's, to the extent it even exists, it's in, you know, demo form and scratch tracks, and Chino never wrote vocals to most of the tunes. So we really have to kind of imagine what it could have been. And that's kind of the thing, though, because some of the stuff that is out there from it is amazing top tier stuff. And when you combine that with sort of the tragedy and everything about Chi, it's kind of easy for me to convince myself that maybe this was a White Pony level record that could have been, you know?
I think the same thing, man. There's far too many things on there that are pieced together that I can definitely tell would have put it into S tier ranking. So it is a completed project away from being an elite album, I guess would be the best way.
It could have been, I feel like. And that's why I put it on twice. So we're going to rank it twice. We're going to rank what's actually out there. And that's what I've called Eros Extant. And that includes number one with a bullet, Smile, which did get an official release from Chino. It's like the one song that was basically finished. And it's an absolute top tier Deftones song, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
There's another jam that you can hear a few versions of on YouTube called Dallas. Another fantastic tune, no vocals. And then there's a guy that kind of, I don't think he used AI, but I think he actually played some instruments or something, kind of fleshed it out a little bit to sound a little bit more like a studio production while being very faithful to the rough versions that are out there. So the Dallas Jam is a second song you can hear off Eros. There's a live track you can find on YouTube called Melanie. And that's the majority of it. There's some argument that the track Tempest off of, I think, Koi no Yokan was originally an Eros jam. Not sure if that's true or not. There was a jam for Eros with the working title of Mercedes. All the Eros songs had working titles of stripper names. And there is a Team Sleep track called Mercedes. I don't know if it has any connection or not. But, you know, given that Chino's in both groups, you got to kind of wonder about that. And then the last thing there is a few just live clips, mostly of Dallas. This is like very, very early YouTube. People would make like 90-second videos. But a couple of those clips, it was like behind the scenes, sort of clips. A couple of those clips have snippets of other songs, like 20 seconds. And who knows if it even had a title or was just a jam in the moment or what. But that's what we have. Sort of 2.5 songs, meaning Smile, Melanie, and Dallas. And then some clips or some drastically reworked stuff. So that was my big speech about Eros. I did the deep dive on it for you. Ebony, where would you put the material we actually can listen to in the power ranking?
So, because there's basically, like you said, 2.5 songs out there, on my personal list, I have it at the bottom with an asterisk. Because in all honesty, the feel of that album and the songs that I've heard that are kind of put together and the one official song, that album is top 3 and it's not 3. So I don't really know how to rate that particular project.
It's tough. I'm going to pull it back up, and but it looms so large, I kind of feel like we've got to do it. I would put it above Live, above the Bob Ezrin demos. I would put it above Black Stallion. And I would, on the strength of Smile and the Dallas Jam, which has just like Steph's lead line in the Dallas Jam.
Dude, it's so out of control.
It just like breaks me that that's not a fully completed. If they could just finish Dallas.
Yeah, in one way or another.
Thrilled. And so on the strength of those two things alone, I toyed with putting it above Gore.
I could live with that, but you know me already, so.
Yeah, I ended up, let's see. I did edge it above. You want to do it above Gore? That's fun. I think we should do it. I still love Gore, but
no, there's no hate whatsoever. After re-listening to it, there's no hate whatsoever, but I can definitely tell.
Smile and Dallas smoke anything on Gore.
Anything on Gore.
We just have to say it.
Yeah.
And then, what could it have been, maybe, if we imagine like the best possible version? I think it had the potential to be in my top tier. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, it probably would be better than Koinonia Khan. It would push that to number 4. Like everything would get pushed down a ranking.
Yeah, I think it's got that potential. And again, we're imagining the best possible version.
Because the way that comes up, it would have been 10 songs and maybe a solid cover, maybe no covers. But it definitely would have been 10 songs of just awesome. Because that's one thing that she brought to the band was awesome.
And I'm so excited by that Dallas, what Dallas could be. And what that implies for Steph's playing on that whole record. Like, if it's a record full of stuff like Smile and Dallas,
oh, he's locked in.
It's over. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a wrap for everything that came after that if he's locked in.
So here is the final. Go ahead.
Well, I was saying, when was that album supposed to come out? Like 2012, right?
Yeah, depending, maybe as early as 2010, maybe, or even 2009, but somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Diamond Eyes got made during that, so it would have been like 09, 2010, 2011.
Right, sort of, it's not really a replacement, but in terms of the sequence of like how the discography goes, we got Diamond Eyes instead of Eros. If you want to think of it that way. Again, not a direct replacement, but
it's highly possible that we don't get anything like what came after Diamond Eyes, including Diamond Eyes if Eros comes out.
Oh yeah, I think it's all different, obviously. I mean, she's such an important person. Yeah, all bets are off.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, another side of that is an incredible part of the story of the band is how they came back together and forged something, some of the old and some new, and at this point have made just as many records with other bassists as they did with Chi, which is a kind of a weird milestone to think about, but
it's a heavy testament. I mean, and they haven't fallen off. Look at how far Sepultura kind of fell off. No offense to Derek or anything after Max left the band, but now I think from Sepultura now, the only person that's still with the band that was there from the beginning is Andreas.
Mm.
Paulo's gone, Max and Igor are gone, and like Deftones did not have that fall off to where like people just stopped listening to them.
Yeah.
And And it happens with a lot of bands. So
the fandom's always been really strong, and they brought new people in, I think, all along the way. Deftones is a band that kids continue to discover, which is super cool considering their discography stretches back 30 years, over 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
But okay, so last point before I do the rundown. In my personal ranking, I had Koi no Yokan above my imagined version of Eros, just because I wasn't sure. They're basically tied, but like I treated it as a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
And I love Koi no Yokan so much. But yeah, either way. Final power ranking. We did it with less disagreement than I expected, honestly, but hopefully fun to listen to. At the top, we've got the self-titled record from 2003, White Pony, our imagined version of the best possible Eros that we could have gotten at number 3. Koi no Yokan and Adrenaline round out the top 5. At number 6, Around the Fur, followed by Diamond Eyes, Private Music, Saturday Night Wrist, and Ohms. That's just an incredible... You know, that we think Saturday Night Wrist and Ohms are the 9th and 10th best records this band made is just
that's a run.
Testament.
Yeah.
That's crazy. At 11, the fan-compiled B-Sides and Rarities Volume 2, followed by the official B-Sides and Rarities. The actual material we have from Eros at number 13, including Smile, Dallas, and Melanie. Gore, Black Stallion, the Bob Ezrin demos, and finally, the Poor Humble 1998 live EP. Man, I do remember listening to this in the basement of some of my friends who were in a band and being really pumped about it at the time. I certainly don't. If this is your favorite thing, like I certainly have not meant to beat up on it.
Yeah, I didn't mean to beat up on Gore that much either. Sorry about that, folks.
We found our way back around to a little bit of Gore love, I think. I think we properly rated Gore in the end.
Yeah. My radar was down about that one, so I really kind of got to rethink some of these. Not take such a hard line on certain things when it comes to like what the music is. And I think that's my big issue is that the purist in me was like, this is not a pure Deftones album, and I don't want anything to do with it. So I kind of never gave it a shot the first time around. But this time I gave it a fair chance. So got to come around on that one.
And maybe if it helps, just reclassify it as a Chino solo project in your mind, if that
that's what I did.
Angle on it. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this new Palms album is great.
Right. Man, I wish there was another Palms album.
I do want another Palms album.
Listen to the hell out of that. It's not long either. Like,
no, it's like 6 songs.
Yeah. I mean, they're long songs, but no, they could totally make another. They could totally make another record. I would love that. Well, this has been great, Ebony. We're getting close to the hour mark. That's my limit on my platform for this second episode. So, it's great to see you again. I appreciate you so much. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Hopefully, maybe?
Yeah. I'll be around. Things are kind of changing. I'm working a lot, so there's not a lot of free time, but I'm doing good, working on music. I will tell you, since we have this little time left, I just got done writing an EP to my guy, Fundamental Elements. He sent me some beats, and I wrote a few of those. And once I get the chance, I'm going to get in the studio and get those recorded. And
cool.
Maybe we can come back and talk about that short one, because it's only going to be like 4 or 5 tracks.
We can definitely do that. In fact, and maybe we can do something new. So I've noticed what does well on YouTube is like 10 minutes. Like my little monologues, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I've been looking for an opportunity to do kind of like the long play format but have one like normal length episode, and then one we keep to 10 minutes for like one song. So an EP would be perfect for that. We'll do it in 2 parts like usual, 3 songs and 1. And you can pick the one you want, and that one will we'll put it all the places like normal. But I know that the shorter ones do better on YouTube. So
yeah,
I've been wanting to experiment with that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get out under our hour mark. Listeners, we appreciate you. I'm so happy to be back, and we will catch you next week on Dat Fury Radio.
Take care of each other.